Hey everyone, this is LR Milk. Since I've uploaded, and last video I uploaded was actually this exact same style of video talking about Dragonflight changes, but here I am talking about the 4th in, patch 11.0, beta changes, what I like, what I don't like, things I would change, suggestions, where I've been, all these fun things. Anyway, since I've been gone for a while, I'll talk about my credentials. I am entirely focused on Mythic Plus. I have very limited raiding knowledge because I usually only raid the first tier, and I remind myself that I don't like raiding very much. Back to Mythic Plus. I've been a very dedicated survival main since Legion's rework. I have made a lot of guides on this spec and a couple others in the past. Lastly, I am not a game designer. Some of the things that I'm going to suggest I'm sure aren't possible, especially because I'm deciding to record this video a month and a half before the expansion comes out, but just as a little time capsule for the future when I realize that just like I wanted in BFA, just like I wanted in Dragonflight, just like I wanted in Shadowlands, just like I want now, one of the changes in here I have been wanting for a very long time. Agree, disagree, just let me know. Talk about it in the comments, and my opinions are my own. I think it's helpful to talk about the history of how this spec has been, just because it's been like 6, 7, 8 years since it's been out. We've seen a few different versions of the spec. Lots of things work, lots of things don't work throughout all these different interactions. Yeah. Again, these are very dumbed down. Very, very dumbed down. So Legion Survival was, simply put, Mongoose Fury stacked to 6. Your Mongoose Bites were on a charge system, and you would get these charges back from your pet auto attacks, would have a chance to give you a stack. You had an ability called Snake Hunter, which would give you 3 stacks, and Flanking Strike doubled the chance your mastery did for 1 attack. Also had something called Animal Instincts that had a would always reduce the cooldown of 1 of 4 abilities by, I think it was 4 seconds. Your artifact ability, Fury of the Eagle, extended your Mongoose Fury window by a couple of seconds, and then while you were doing all of this, you juggled a bunch of different maintenance buffs. In BFA, Mongoose Bite, Mongoose Fury changed into a builder-spender style. We lost all of our maintenance buffs, and this is also when we gained Wildfire Bomb. At the time, we gained things like Latent Poison and Wildfire Cluster, which are both out of the game now. Get into Wildfire Cluster in a second. In Shadowlands, this is when they really started to play into Wildfire Bomb, as our best legendary was Wildfire Cluster, and if you go back and you watch even some of my old gameplay, you can see that even at the beginning of the expansion, when everybody thought the spec sucked, I literally did so much damage, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable how much damage Wildfire Cluster gave that spec. And then at the very end of the expansion, when they added tier sets, that Mad Bombardier thing was insane. With all of the extra bombs that you were getting and throwing with Wildfire Cluster, I mean, Wildfire Cluster effectively doubled the damage of your Wildfire Bomb. It was ridiculous. But this is kind of when I started to realize personally that I always thought Wildfire Bomb was a design flaw. So coming into Dragonflight, with the exception of talent changes, your rotation, your spec stayed pretty much the exact same. The spec plays in Dragonflight the same way it did in BFA, really. But 2 out of the 3 of the tier sets that we had in Dragonflight buffed your Wildfire Bomb. And a fun little tidbit now is our Season 3 set, buffed Wildfire Bomb, is better than my Season 4 set that doesn't buff Wildfire Bomb on single target, at it like a 30 item level difference. So I'm currently playing with a 30 item level reduction on my tier set to do significantly more damage in AoE, and just a little bit more damage on single target, because of how insane the scaling on Wildfire Bomb is. Which is why I'm happy that in the War Within, it looks like we're going to be stepping away from Wildfire Bomb, which I am a huge fan of. So coming into the War Within, everything in here is good. So far, I'm very happy with them. They could change nothing from what it is right now, and I'd still be happy, but I have a couple suggestions that I would change to make it better. And again, my opinions. If you disagree with them, agree with them, let me know in the comments. We can talk about them. Pros. This is talking from AoE rotation. We have Merciless Blows, which makes Mongoose Bite cleave after you press Butchery. We have Contagious Reagents, which makes Serpent Sting spread easier than it did before. We have Exposed Flank, which makes Flanking Strike and then your kill command cleave. We have Grenade Juggler, which makes Wildfire Bomb have a chance to throw an explosive shot. Then we have Bombardier, which got reworked. So instead of the second half giving you 2 more charges again, it makes your next 2 explosive shots free and have no cooldown. I think that thematically is very cool. The reason it looks like we're stepping away from Wildfire Bomb is every iteration of the spec since BFA has been press Wildfire Bomb, do damage. Press Wildfire Bomb, do damage. Single target AoE, it was press Wildfire Bomb, do damage. It was like your hardest hitting ability always. And now in AoE, we're spreading the Serpent Sting for some passive damage. We're cleaving with Butchery. So Butchery is not just reduce the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb to press Wildfire Bomb more. It still has that effect. But now we're cleaving with Raptor Strike, Mongoose Bite. We're cleaving with Flanking Strike. We're throwing out these free explosive shots. There's a lot more things happening. I think that's really cool. This is when they also have reworked our mastery again. So if we look at our mastery now, instead of focus spending abilities do more damage and you have health regen, now you deal increased damage and take reduced damage. As a note, in case you didn't know this, the damage portion is the only portion that scales. The damage reduction does not scale at all. Okay, so effectively you can always double the damage effect because your pet is always going to be right next to you, because again, you're melee. Defensives, we now have double survival of the fittest aspect of the turtle. We have a flat 6% from a mastery, and then our hero talents have like a little bit of sustainability in them. I'm unsure how I feel about double survival of the fittest. I always liked the self-sustaining aspect of reducing the cooldown of exhilaration, but this is definitely better. This is definitely better than that. I have personally always preferred self-sustaining over take less damage. And the last pro that I have a lot is we are incentivized to take a cooldown in AoE. So before in Dragonflight, I literally have been spec'd in Fury of the Eagle with no coordinated assault, no spearhead, the entire expansion. And I wouldn't really consider Fury of the Eagle a cooldown. So we kind of just didn't have a 1 minute or a 1 minute damage increase, a 2 minute, a 3 minute, like all these other specs had. And that kind of made me feel really bad on like boss pulls. And now we're incentivized to take coordinated assault with the flat 20% damage increase. And with your damage increase, we're increasing the chance the kill command can reset. And this is every 60 seconds with this. And we're getting free explosive shots. And we're getting 2 free bombs. Pretty neat. These are the things that I'm neutral on. I do need to see more of these to really have a strong opinion for either of these. But Tip of the Spear got changed. Instead of just buffing your Mongoose Bite, it buffs your next spell, stacking 3 times. It is apparently having some weird interactions. My understanding is that if you have 3 stacks, Butchery will consume 1 stack per target. And then I'm also told that with something like Wildfire Bomb, it's consuming a stack when you throw it, and then it's consuming a stack when it hits the target. Always need 2 stacks for bomb. And every time you press butchery, because again, you're only ever going to press butchery if there are more targets anyways, that uses them all. So I think that the interaction of press butchery, consume all of your stacks, and then you need to get more stacks before you use your merciless blows. I think that interaction doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's a pretty small thing. Tip of the spear, I think, just as it is in Dragonflight, it'll kind of just be a you take it because you have to, and it buffs your damage, and you're never going to play around it. That's my guess. And lastly, one of the things I'm neutral on is mongoose bite only stacking 3. Currently, or well, really since Legion, mongoose bite, whenever you capped out your stacks, the animation changed a little bit. So instead of just swinging your spear, you would like leap and overhead swing. Just a cool little change. Using it at 3 stacks, that animation is totally gone, which kind of sucks. I do like that now this is kind of going back to like a maintenance buff. But it's different. It's different. I don't know how I feel about it yet. And then cons is Wildfire Infusion. So Wildfire Infusion got reworked, and I think it got reworked at the wrong time. Because I would argue now it has more impact on what you're doing than it ever has before. So for instance, the red bomb was always useful because you'd get the kill command resets. The green bomb kind of didn't really matter because you were spreading Serpent Sting to everything, but I think now that we're spreading it to more targets, right? If you're on 10 targets and you're spreading it, it's just going to help with the applying and maintaining on more targets, but especially the blue bomb now has more impact. So if you didn't know, Bloodseeker over here gives you attack speed for every bleeding enemy within 12 yards. Okay, so if you got a blue bomb, your next butchery or your mongoose bite would apply a bleed to your target. So now that we have AoE butchery and AoE mongoose bite, we're going to be bleeding more targets, which would actually, with our new lunge, reduce the cooldown of wildfire bombs more often. So I think that now, especially if we changed wildfire bomb back, I think it would be more impactful. I think it'd be more engaging rotationally. Lastly, I have a couple suggestions and then a hot take. So, suggestions. In Legion, we had a legendary called Butcher's Bone Fragments. They added it back in Shadowlands. It kind of sucked in Shadowlands, but in Legion, every mongoose bite press would increase the damage of butchery by 10%, stacking 10 times. Then we also had an artifact trait called Hellcarver. Hellcarver would make it so every target you hit did 3 or 4% extra damage. You could scale it up with artifact traits at the time, but now I think both of these, now that we're stepping away from Wildfire Bomb, make so much sense to add. I mean, look at it. You could drop them right here in the middle of the talent tree. You could even replace something down here, like Spearhead, because I don't like Spearhead, but it fits perfect right here. Straight line down, all the way down to Coordinated Assault. I think that'd be super cool, and this is the thing that I have literally been asking for in BFA, and Shadowlands, and Dragonflight, now the War Within, and then I'll be asking it again in Midnight, and then I'll be asking for it again, and what was the one after that? The Last Titan, whatever it's called. I'm going to ask for this every single time. My next suggestion is Mongoose Bite stacks 5 times, and it's 10% damage per stack instead of 15. So this would effectively only be a 5% damage increase, and it would make it more punishing if you dropped this maintenance buff. And I think that's fine, because this would also give us our cool animation back. Next, I would say we should add a Serpent Sting spellcast, and unless I'm dumb and I can't find it and it's in the game, I think we should add it back. It'll make it easier to ranged pull. Yeah. Next, I would say remove the focus cast off of Wildfire Bomb. So when I first read the changes, I read that they added a focus cost to Wildfire Bomb, And I thought that they just wanted to give mastery scaling to Wildfire Bomb, which would have been fine. What we have now is obviously better with just a flat damage increase. But they changed the mastery right when they added a focus cost to Bomb, and I think that that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So now if we're talking AoE rotationally, you're pressing Butchery, 30 focus, and then you're pressing Mongoose Bite because it cleaves, 30 focus, and there's also going to be a bomb thrown in there, which is 10 focus. So 70 focus, and your kill command gives you 15. I think that something in there doesn't make sense. I think Mongoose Bite and Butchery costing focus is fine, but I think Wildfire Bomb costing focus doesn't make sense to me at all. And then lastly, my suggestion is Spearhead should get a longer duration or get removed. I mean, if it was up to me, I would tell you guys Butcher's Bone Fragments and Hellcarver. I think it's fine that if our only cooldown becomes Coordinated Assault, and then on one side we have Fury, and on one side we have Bone Fragments. I think that's cooler, personally. The 30% crit chance and damage that you get from Spearhead feels really underwhelming when Mongoose Bite only stacks 3 times. I'm sure the damage is fine, but that feels really weird to me that we're doing a 60-second cooldown, 10-second buff when Coordinated Assault is a 20% damage increase on a 1-minute cooldown. This also lasts for 20 seconds. So 30% damage increase, basically, versus 20%. This one lasts twice as long. I'm sure you'll take Spearhead on single target. I will probably never spec into it because I'm probably not going to raid. To me, this is a completely dead talent. And then for my hot take, we should replace Kill Command with Flanking Strike. I know a lot of people are really divided about this subject, but I'll try to paint this in the best way I can. I'm a melee hunter, and I have 2 melee abilities with Mongoose Bite and Butchery. If you just renamed Kill Command to Flanking Strike and changed nothing else functionally, I think thematically it makes way more sense. It doesn't need the leap. Just change the name of it, change the melee attack animation. And then if they did this, obviously they'd have to replace Flanking Strike talent tree, and I think that every 3 or 4, there should just be an enhanced Flanking Strike to give you a small haste buff or something. I think that'd feel great. But that's it. That's all I got for all the War Within. So if that was all you cared about, you can end the video now. Now is when I ramble for a little bit about some other random things. What next? Feel free to send this video to a game dev, spread it around. These videos are entirely for me. I like to go back every now and then and see what I was thinking at the time. And then I can also see things like, hey, I've been asking for Butcher's Bone Fragments for the last 6 years. I think it's just fun. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Where have I been for people who have watched me in the past and are now watching this video again? I lost my access to Premiere Pro, and I didn't have the motivation to learn how to video edit with a program. I have doubled the amount of hours that I am working at my actual job, and I am hoping to return to making content because I do still think it's fun. But I am also going to be dabbling in things that are not World of Warcraft. I plan on uploading a video that my buddy and I want to shoot soon, which will be very different, and I won't give anything away, but I think. And then lastly, for the people that will stick around, I am most definitely going to video dump the recordings I have of Dragonflight, which are from the last season, just as a gameplay reference for down the line. I still, every now and then, will go back and I'll watch my Shadowlands or BFA videos just to see what the game looked like at the time to compare it, and I think it's just good. It's like a little time capsule. Lastly, for all you guys who stuck it to the end, will there be a very serious survival hunter guide in the War Within? I am probably going to make one after I make a separate video project. I know I said that in Dragonflight, I know that I just did a live stream where I said I was going to do one for Dragonflight, but I plan on taking some time off of work, getting a lot of gameplay, making something fun. Anyway, that is all I got. I kept it under 30 minutes, which was the goal. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to discuss any of these with me in the comment section. You know how you feel about it? Have a good rest of your day.